Deleted. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have just made a massive decision that is shaking up the entire region. They are officially refusing to join the ECO, a brand new currency proposed by the regional bloc Ecowas to replace the old CFA franc. To understand why these three countries are saying no, you first have to look at the financial system they have been trapped in for nearly 80 years. Since 1945, these nations have used the CFA franc. On paper, it was supposed to give West African nations financial stability, but in reality, it handed complete monetary control over to France. Under the original CFA setup, these African nations were forced to deposit 50% of their foreign exchange reserve directly into the French treasury in Paris. If they wanted to spend their own money or change their own economic policies, they effectively had to get approval from Europe. On top of that, the money itself isn't even printed on the African continent. Every single bill and coin used in these countries is printed at a facility in France. Think about that for a second. Independent nations relying on their former colonial power to physically print the cash circulating in their own local markets. So, when ECOWAS announced the ECO as a revolutionary new currency that will replace the CFA franc and unite the entire region, it was marketed as a historic moment of economic freedom. But when the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso looked closely at the actual plan, they realized something alarming. Almost nothing fundamental was changing. First, the printing press isn't moving. Under the new proposal, the ECO will still be printed abroad in Europe. For the newly formed Alliance of Sahel States, or the AES, leaving physical money printing in foreign hands is an absolute deal breaker. If you don't control the production of your own physical money, you don't have true control over your nation. Second, and most importantly, is the fixed exchange rate. The proposed ECO is designed to maintain a straight peg to the euro. On the surface, a peg currency sounds good because it keeps inflation low and prevents sudden crashes. But in reality, a fixed peg completely locks down a country's economic strategy. When your currency is tied directly to euro, your central bank loses the ability to adjust interest rates or change the value of the currency to help local businesses.
Breaking news. The three countries of the Alliance of Sahel States, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have just announced that they will not participate to the project announced by the board of directors at the 69th summit held in Frida, in Syria this 19th. Well, they announced that they will not participate in this project, that they want to sell us as a gigantic project. One change for the ECO that will come. Revolutionize everything. Well, the US says no thanks. We don't want to perpetuate one system, neoist who continues to maintain our countries in the underdevelopment, and I will give you 2 or 3 reasons why the ECO is right. The name that changes, the CFA franc as you know it, that was before, one currency for the French, colonies. And then who is after to change, to become community, financial, of the finally, you will have understood it. Well, today we changed our name. Simply because money is primarily, will always be printed. In France, so Emmanuel Macron, his French band there always goes, they are the ones who will always print our tickets. Secondly, it will always be backed. At the euro, and honestly this is the part that disturbs. Enormously it will be, to the euro. It means that there will be no way that French will fluctuates, and I don't know if I told you about it before the changes. Make one benefit on one currency is precisely when it has this possibility to be exchanged, and power vary in terms of stroke, i.e. when it goes up, economists can make a profit. And when it goes down, well, economists finally we can lose. That's it, it's obvious. But the most important thing is that when the change is stable, well, we have no growth. Economic, you understand what I mean. We may have some stability. In relation to the Prix de France CFA, compared to the euro, since it is already. The difference is huge. 1 franc CFA, it costs 650, wait, and it will be the same for the Echo. It doesn't change much. Well, that's us, who still have to get. In reality, what happens is that all countries that use the CFA franc. Okay, listen very, very well. And it is the economists who talk about it through many researches. And many books I've been able to read. Economists hate CFA franc. Why? Because in reality it stabilizes the euro, to the detriment of African countries, since it is they say it's the euro which stabilizes the CFA franc. It's not the case, in fact, it's the CFA franc which stabilizes the euro. So how many African countries use the CFA franc? More than 14 countries. Finally, 14 countries that use the CFA franc we talk here. To French-speaking countries in Central Africa, then the countries of the U-zone and me. So from then I don't want to talk about the countries of the ZME, since they have their change and everything. So you understand that today the CFA franc, well, it's there to stabilize the interests of European countries, the euro. And then last very important point. Originally, listen to this very important point that I found very complicated, is that originally the CFA franc was created. Why? To allow the French to be able to invest in Africa. Why? Because at the time, the French considered that investing in Africa is a bit risky. Why? To go there and everything. The French colonial state has found one way. To tell them that we guarantee you a certain currency stability in Africa through the CFA franc. So in reality, it is not one currency to serve the interests of African states, but one currency for companies. French women in Africa, and that's what it becomes. This is where it gets dangerous. You see that there are more than 6,000 French companies in Africa, French-speaking today, and everyone is wondering but why and how? Well, it's because they have everything. Advantages, they have everything at their disposal. And tools including that we continue to perpetrate, that we don't want to part with it, and unfortunately it will always be the case. Of the Echo, this famous coin, revolutionary, that we presented, the heads of state. Anyway, say Professor Frank Agami. In any case, tell me in the comments what you think we will continue to follow closely. The so-called currency that dates back to, it's been 20 years since.
When the European Central Bank makes a decision in Frankfurt to protect European economies, West African economies are forced to follow along, whether it fits their local needs or not. If a country like Niger or Mali wants to boost its local farming or manufacturing export, it can't use its currency to make its products cheaper, because the currency is artificially held up to match European standards. Then you have to look at who this setup actually helps. Over 6,000 French businesses currently operate across Francophone Africa. So at the end of the day, this setup will actually benefit these people. So when the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso sat down and looked at the plan that has been drafted and claim it is now a revolutionary for freedom, they realize that there are a lot of fishy things that are ongoing there. And what is the essence of printing an African currency that will be pegged to euro? What has that got to do with us? Why can't we just independently decide to do our own things without matching it up with other people? Let's take a country like Ghana, for instance. Some years back, 2007, it was the same thing that they were doing to match up with the dollar. Finally, we are seeing that the Ghana currency is not able to match up, because the coins that we used to use at that time, everything has to be taken away just because we're forcing to meet up with the $1, 1 cedi policy. And this has, according to economists, weakened the Ghana cedi, because the 1 peso and the other thing, the 5, everything is gone. But America is still using that. So today, our money has lost a lot of value. Why can't we just develop everything completely away from what these people always do? And everything must match up to them. So looking at all these things, the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are saying that this is a rebranding of the CFA franc. And it's like now, Europe is going to control the entire West Africa. So there's no need. We can't talk about freedom when everything must be of the standard of these people. Why can't the African set his or her own standard so we can follow? Must we always try to do things that the colonizer wants us to do? When will we ever be servants people? Let's design everything completely different. Why not print our own things here? Must it have to be in Europe? And how do we control it if everything is still in the hands of these people? So because of that, the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are saying they have taken a bold step for economic sovereignty, total liberation, and they will never do anything that will match up and leave everything in the hands of these people to control again. No wonder this thing is allowed to pass through. You understand? What are your thoughts on this? Do we still need to be doing things in this 21st century based on what these people want us to be doing? Or this is the time for the African preaching sovereignty, total liberation to take pragmatic steps in doing things that we think will help us and not to be singing the same old things of these people like rebranding. So when you don't look closely into this, you will think that now we have the economic freedom we are talking about. But when you look deeper, you understand that it's still the same old thing. And now Europe controls everything that has to do with West Africa. And we still do not have a say when it comes to nothing. Like they pointed out, if you want to do something for your farmers, you can change it. Europe must always decide. And it means that every decision that they will take is still going to affect us. It's never going to give us the freedom we are looking for. And we have to fight for our own independency, where we can decide what we think is right for us, where we can print and control our own money. It shouldn't be printed outside. If the resources to print these things are too expensive, why not every nation contributing something so that we can get everything like what Muammar Gaddafi did, that today we can have our own way of communicating without passing through Europe to be paying to Europe. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso.